All right, guys, episode 19 of the podcast. First episode with Auston, Rich, and myself together. And we've been planning this for the past month and a half. Things haven't lined up, but today, I'm recording this on a different day, but this podcast lined up perfectly. And the conversations that we had, just having fun, talking about some serious stuff. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. And I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoy it. All right, peace out.
Great.
Yeah,
it's good.
Good. Oh, cheers. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers. Slanche.
Cheers.
Hey.
Cheers.
Slanche. Cheers.
Yeah. Heck.
All right. I kind of want to start this podcast off by reading. You might have heard this already, but Nikola Tesla's last letter to his mother. Have you guys heard it?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, shit. It's
Cool.
interesting. Get your guys' opinion on this. All right. Here we go. My dear mother, I feel sad and dreary when I think of you. I don't know how, but I feel that you're not well. I wish I could be beside you now, mother, to bring you a glass of water. All these years that I spent in the service of mankind brought me nothing but insults and humiliation. This morning I woke up early, just before the dawn, because I heard something that I've been hearing through my dreams for quite some time now. I heard this voice that's saying some beautiful chant, lament, or even prayer in Moorish. I don't know what Moorish means, but...
Neither do I.
It's an old language.
Okay. When I came to my senses, I realized that this voice came from everywhere, and it was impossible to determine whether it was from within. I'm afraid of losing my mind. I cannot confide to this Dr. Lionel because I don't trust him anymore. I heard that he visited Mr. Edison 2 weeks ago. Again, my thoughts are of you, mother, and I feel the same restlessness and sorrow. I will write this patent office to speed up the realization of my public experiment for 1 week. I have to go back home, to my homeland, to you. I know now for sure that you're not well because once again I have heard that lamenting voice, but this time I was wide awake. I still haven't lost my sense. I didn't write this to the patent office. One of their agents came and I told him about my intentions in person. He said he was sorry, but the dates could not be changed because all of the congressmen had already determined them. I went down to the waterfalls and told the boys to prepare the turbines and wait for my call tomorrow. I've decided to provide the mankind with the gift it deserves and to return to Europe, to you, mother. Governments here are the same as the ones back home. I realize now at the very end that that mankind depends on governments and the individual cannot change the world on himself. But that strange voice still bothers me. I know it's connected to you, my experiment, with something transcendental. Dear mother, I leave you for Yugoslavia tomorrow. Miss Nora went to port and bought me a ticket for Lisbon. From there, I will go by train to Zurich and then straight home. It will take me approximately 10 days, no more than 2 weeks to get home. Let's go a little bit.
Wow.
I felt that someone or something was carrying it from Niagara Falls to the Congress Hall, and that the law I thought I invented actually existed. I was just a vessel blessed with inspiration to formulate and explain it to mankind. Instead of triumph and happiness, some empty sorrow emerged. I realized that I had missed something big in my life, as if I had left something unrecognizably completed. Some formula was within the grasp of my understanding, and I have failed or did not want to clarify it. That has to be connected to the Moorish lament. I'm sure of it now. This letter will never get to you, mother. I know why I read it to you when you cannot read it. Rest in peace, mother. Please forgive me for choosing paths that had led me away from you. I cannot even be there for your funeral. I read that the telegram informed me of your death and despised people who were ready to understand 2 years ago that electricity can be transferred without wires. Now they have seen it, but they won't use it for centuries to come because someone burned my downtown library to the ground with all my formulas and writings in it. They suspected Mr. Edison. I became so indifferent I cannot even recognize myself. I would maybe feel sad before, but not anymore because I'm now sure that someone is keeping my patents under control, that my discovery isn't mine at all, and finally, that mankind was not ready for it. I know that someone is overseeing everything and has a plan of their own, which is probably why I'm indifferent. And then I'm going to skip to the last one. My mother forgave me for taking my paths from these, so I cannot come to the funeral. Pray there for me, mother, if you can. This is the last letter by the famous Serbian scientist Nikola Tesla to his mother, Juka.
Wow.
Yeah, that was intense.
That's deep, man. I mean, I feel like, so he was taken away from his mother because he was so passionate about his work, and it led him elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah. Sounds like it.
It seems like, his message to his mother was, man, that's got to be tough. Someone who brings you into this world, and you're not there to see their last words, right, or see their last experiences. But in the same note, I feel like if you're the mother, you're bringing a life that is not yet here, right, into this world. And now she's transferring out into a different realm where it's almost like a full circle, where he's now connecting, whether it be in person or now he's just giving a message to his mother via telegram or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a deep connection, and even though she isn't there to respond, she's right there with him, So it's very, heartfelt. I don't know how to feel about that. That's deep, man. Yeah.
It hit me when he said he felt indifferent.
Yeah.
Kind of calming, sort of a relief, empathetic relief for him.
But yeah, like, it just blew my mind that, like, reading that, how the government just took his plans from him and stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard it was basically a military force that of some sort, governmental agency that burned down his library.
Crazy.
And apparently Donald Trump's grandfather or father was there. And part of it, which is interesting.
Yo.
Oh, interesting.
I did not know that.
And I think from what I've seen with this stuff that they didn't just take his library and store it. I think they kept developing his technology, and they're using
Kept it
it
for themselves.
Yeah, I think they don't want to ruin their economy with it. They like having the benefiting from being on top of that.
Yeah.
Right. They don't want to take away their profit margins.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so Nikola Tesla is famous for inventing like Wi-Fi. I'm not exactly sure who he is, like what he did.
So we had wireless transmission of electricity before we had wired transmission, apparently.
Okay.
In at least in recent history.
I think it's called AC, I think, instead of DC, which is direct current, rather than like
those are
alternate current or
yeah
something.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it is.
Those are basically, those both can be wired. I've heard the word scalar referred to with his stuff.
Okay.
So generally we need in kinetic energy you need versus scalar energy. So kinetic energy, there's a point of transmission where the wave originates from, and then the wave travels, and then it's received somewhere else.
Yeah.
With scalar, there's no wave that you can see transmitting it. It just appears, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that like kind of like going off of the idea that everything's connected kind of thing?
Yeah. So when he talked about hearing his mother and knowing that she was involved, it made me think of the Baxter effect, which is when so it was a professor in the 60s or so, and he was trying to get a response from a plant, and he had it hooked up to a LiDAR detector or a lie detector, and he was working for ages trying to get a response, and he finally did when he thought, okay, I'll burn the leaf, and without burning the leaf, just thinking about it, the plant started reacting.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the first evidence that there's some sort of
Connection.
non-wired connection.
Yeah.
And then they went on to do another experiment, and they had basically a saliva swab, and they connected that to the plant. And the guy whose saliva it was, he took a flight to Arizona from San Francisco where they were doing the study.
Yeah.
And his flight was late, and he didn't like flying, and he was feeling anxious, and his wife was late to pick him up, and the plant was reacting all along in real time to all of that he was feeling.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. There's a good video on YouTube called The Baxter Effect by Spirit Science. That
Oh,
explains
Spirit
it.
Science, dope. Yeah.
That's where I learned about it, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Kind of goes along with the observer effect, right?
Oh, the double slit experiment.
Yeah, that shows that the observer affects what happens with physics. And
So what is it, like a wave where it goes through like two slits, and
they
it's a
fire
waveform.
particles.
Yeah, they fire particles, and it's only a waveform or it's only particles, but when somebody looks at it, then it turns into a waveform, right?
Yeah, they fired particles like BBs or bullets.
Yeah.
Particles of light or whatever, and there's 2 slits. So there was a wall they would react on. So you'd see when they hit the wall.
Yeah.
And they put a barrier up so that the particles could only make it through the 2 channels, 2 slits, right, the double slits. And then while it was observed, it would hit the back wall just as you'd expect, mostly behind the slits where the particles could go through, right? And a little bit around it where they kind of bounced around, the edge of went through and kind of sparkled. Yeah. So it's just as you'd imagine.
Yeah.
But then they took away the observer and they left the barrier, but it went through as if there was no barrier there.
Yeah.
It reacted with the back particle wall everywhere, not just behind the slits. So that's pretty mind-blowing. That's probably the most mind-blowing thing in science.
Like there has to be an observer in order to see that it turned into a waveform.
Well, just the observers affect the waveforms, and I think behind the waveforms are the non-waveform energies, the scalar energies. It's kind of behind the atoms, the atomic theory behind the kinetic energy that we see. There's something behind that.
Yeah.
Right, and then from there I go to I'm forgetting
DMT.
No. Sort of there's studies that show collective consciousness, so like the 100th monkey experiment, and it sort of shows the same thing but on a different scale, and then you can it helps you see the context in the whole world.
Yeah.
So it was basically scientists were observing monkeys on these islands, and they were very far from each other, these islands, like horizon line, and the monkeys would eventually figure out that they could smash a certain rock and create sharp shards, and then break open the coconuts much faster and eat a lot more. And what they realized was whenever about 100 monkeys figured it out on one island, the monkeys on the next island would start doing it, and it spread like that.
How would they know? Like, just that's the thing.
That's
how are they connected?
How do they know?
Interesting.
Yeah. Or how does that happen?
I have no idea, dude. I have an associate's degree in environmental sciences, dude. This is all like a second language, but no, it's very fascinating, man.
Yeah.
What the heck? And sorry, scalar energy, is that the other term?
Yeah, I've tried learning about it,
Scalar
and
energy.
I can't find much on it. It's interesting. Yeah.
It seems hard to even have information on it. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know much about
Seems
it.
like it's probably, if there was a book about it, it would be a banned book.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. It would just be invisible writing, How can you read it?
Invisible ink.
Shine a highlighter.
Well, since the last time I saw you guys, what have you guys been up to? Because I know that you were gone for a while.
Yeah, I've
right?
been up in the Reading area,
Yeah.
up from the Santa Barbara, Oxnard area. And,
How long were you there?
I've been on there on and off for the last 6 months or so.
Dope.
Yeah, my friend has some land there. And,
Tate, shout out Tate.
Yeah, Tate. And I do a lot of work remotely. Some people do up there. And
Yo.
we've been getting into airsofting for some exercise up there.
Hey, yo.
It's very fun.
Didn't you have a big group too? Like you had like wars.
Yeah. Apparently, it's so right down from the ranch. There, it turns out, is the largest airsoft place in California, and they have games every weekend with about 80 to 140 people, Saturday and Sunday.
Damn.
Dang, man.
Yeah, it's pretty.
If they had 100 though, that people on the other side, Southern California, on the airsoft field, they would start mimicking how the tactics work, just like the 100 monkeys theory.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude. Wait, so when did you get back, Rich?
More recently, this last week.
Oh, great, sweet.
Yeah.
How's it feel to be back home?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's
Do you still
nice.
consider it home?
I like traveling. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I like to think I still consider Ireland home, but
Yeah, for sure, man.
Santa Barbara's a good base.
I could hear it in the accent, man.
Yeah,
A
little bit.
I can. Oh, that's sweet.
Dope, man. Austin, what have you been up to?
I've been making pornos. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, dude, I've seen them.
No way. Dude, I should be getting paid. No, I just, I've been working on my business, man. For everybody who doesn't know, I'm a personal trainer. So continuing to grow that, expand. That's the majority of my time on and off from actually training people is like focusing and trying to find niches that will expand the business and maybe even collaborate, find a gym of myself, my own.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, just spending time with my girlfriend and taking it easy, man.
So
enjoying nature.
So when you're building, like you're working on your business, or I saw that you release jackets and like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's that going?
That's like a side note. I mean, that's all kind of extra credit, like the jackets and the materials. It's like that's not my main focus. It's almost
it's part of it.
You have to have something. I feel like just to advertise in a sense, but it's not. It's kind of just like side money that goes towards it, but it's not like a main directive. So I focus mainly just on training, whether it's just one-on-ones or like you went to the tennis clinic not too long ago.
Yeah.
That's brand new. So we're working on that, expanding. We're trying to open up basically all skill levels, all age ranges. The municipal tennis courts in Santa Barbara, we're hosting from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then back-to-back classes 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. For now, just going back into it. Basically a conditioning class.
Yeah.
Lasts about 60 minutes. You saw it. I mean, what would
Yeah.
you say from your, I guess, observation of what it entails, and can anybody do it? Can anybody enter in?
Yeah, pretty much anybody. Like
Yeah.
from what I've seen, there's like the wide age range where I saw like older folks, younger folks, and
Yeah.
like it looked like a solid class. And you had like that energy and
It's all about the energy.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
energy and
as long as you can sell that.
that playlist.
Yeah.
You got the playlist going. But I think I'm gonna see you Saturday too. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
be
yeah.
there
Both
Saturday?
said that you're gonna be there Saturday. I
Yeah.
think it's just a quick little stint too, like 30 minutes or something.
Okay.
Yeah, just to get the photo shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Photo shoot. Was it like an interview? I think it
Yeah,
was.
interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know who am I gonna interview, or is it just?
Yeah, Lucy, I think.
Lucy?
Lucy.
Okay.
Yeah, she's in.
Shout out Lucy.
Yeah, shout out Lucy. She's in her 60s, but yeah, she's one of my clients and she's awesome. So,
Dope.
Bo has the questions lined up for you.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I know
cool.
he wanted to ask you something like interview wise, so that's you and him.
Yeah. No worries. Just curious.
Yeah.
Dope.
Dude, good luck, bro.
Yeah.
No, good luck. Seriously. No.
Good luck. It's the luck of the Irish.
Look at the Irish. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day for anybody who's late to catch on.
So, go ahead.
I was pinched even though I'm Irish.
Oh,
So what do you
shit.
guys think? Have you heard of that rule? You don't pinch the Irish because their blood's green
Oh,
if they're not wearing the green shirt.
I haven't.
I've
though.
not heard that. No.
I think, yeah, I'm with you. You shouldn't be pinched.
Good. Okay.
Definitely
thank-
not,
I
dude.
appreciate that solidarity.
No, I don't think you should be pinched.
I saw something.
Like in general? Or
I saw something about the origins of St. Patrick's Day today and what the true origins are. Are you interested?
fill us in. Yeah, do you know?
I do not.
I don't either. Let's
So
do it.
apparently it comes from Osiris, and it was had to do with alcohol and worshiping a god of alcohol.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And wearing green was very involved, and
What is the
drinking lots of
significance
alcohol.
The significance
enough.
of the color green.
I'm
Did
not
it
sure.
say?
It was to do with the god. I'm sure there's more than I know into it. You know.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't know that much about it.
Yeah.
Osiris. Is he? What is Osiris? Sorry, a god?
Yeah, it's a star.
It's a star.
god.
That's right, Osiris.
Hmm.
Yes. Say no
Many-
more,
many
really. I mean,
things.
green alcohol. I mean, that's fine. Go ahead, Brand.
Oh no, I was gonna say. So you ended up taking shrooms over there, no?
Sorry.
You shroomed over there.
Where?
Reading?
Reading? I did at one night. I took a little bit. I've only done small amounts though.
Like portobello mushrooms.
No, magic mushrooms.
Okay.
Nice microdosing.
Yeah, I've microdosed before, but not the big amount. I think the first time I did it such a tiny amount, people were laughing at me.
Mm.
And after a few days, I did that little amount a few days in a row, and after a few days, I started realizing how important my breathing was.
Mm.
And so I think
Oh,
doing
we were
that,
talking about that, yeah.
yeah, I remember, so I think doing that sort of helps you get to a better place instead of just taking you a better place for a night or something, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think people kind of overdo it a little bit.
Yeah.
At least to start out, and so like kind of do you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like psilocybin has been known to actually like regrow neurons too,
Right.
right? Or
Yeah.
kind of connect like new pathways in the brain
Yeah.
to make you think about a certain thing or
Right.
think about it differently.
Yeah.
So just for you, the breathing aspect is really cool. I mean,
Yeah, and then I started noticing how much meaning there was behind words, and how, to be more
Powerful.
conscientious about word choice.
oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I try to be, but sometimes. Go ahead.
So it's used a lot like in Silicon Valley and everything. You know, people are using it as a nootropic to help their brain function without doing such a large amount that they can't function,
Yeah.
productively.
Yeah.
It's microdosing and yeah, like you said, neurogenesis. I think it rewires your brain in a certain way. There's this guy named Paul Stamets on the Joe Rogan show. You guys heard of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to stutter to have this crazy amount of mushrooms, and then after the trip, he fixed his stutter like instantly. So it was like it's crazy.
That's really interesting. I've seen a few things on that.
Through the
Yeah.
power of the word. I
Yeah.
mean, he just said over and over again, "I'm not going to stutter.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
going to stutter."
Right.
Over and over and over again.
Remember that now?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was just one night. That's what it was. Like just one night, and then he changed his whole
Yeah, that's what he said.
Grammatical approach. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I think there was like a little VLC show on like a coach that would help people get over stuttering. It was really interesting.
Oh, that was Tony Robbins, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Tony
yeah,
Robbins.
A little video. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. Yeah, and
I remember watching that. Yeah.
He was with this guy for like half an hour, and he just had him do like breathing exercises and like put his hands up in the air and like yell.
Oh,
and he
we forgot
got
to do
over
the
it.
stretching thing.
Oh yeah,
I totally forgot about that.
Austin got here. We got all excited. We were gonna stretch a little bit.
Really?
So yeah, do you want to inform him like what we were gonna do?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, dude. Are you still stretching? That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
even say any more. Just show.
Yeah, so I was working and studying with that place in Santa Barbara for a while and learning all about it. We would stretch certain meridians and study how it affects the psychology and everything. But yeah, I was saying I wanted to stretch a little bit, and he was saying he has a foam roller, and I was saying, well, actually, I wanted to do like a handstand and kind of stretch into it, and that's a lung stretch, and that could be good for doing before the podcast and everything. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, no, I dig it, man. Stretching is also it's a way to tap into the spiritual realm, I feel like, without, taking any psychedelics. It's almost like a meditation itself.
Oh yeah.
Especially how, far you go with it, how deep you go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, how long you spend with it. That's really cool.
That's one of the things I learned at the place is like there's these 16 different stretches we can do, and each one is a muscle group that pulls your body in a different direction, and it's actually connected with a different organ, each one, and a different part of your psychology. And so there's a couple of them that bring you into the spiritual world, a couple that bring you into the emotional world, a couple that bring you into the thinking, and then the physical.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
all realms, really.
Yeah, right.
That's sick.
Isn't it cool?
Interesting.
It is
Yeah.
cool.
And so they kind of go about it like you can pay to be worked on by them or to study with them or anything. And depending on what you want to develop yourself more in, you can do those stretches.
Interesting.
It is, yeah. Their motto is the body is medicine. The body itself is medicine, and you can basically heal just by stretching. So we worked on people and got surgical results just from working on them. It's really cool.
Dang. Would you say that there's like a certain would lower body entail connecting to a certain part of your mind or your brain versus your upper body?
Yeah. So
or is there something that can connect all around?
It's like the ancient known meridians. So a lot of the emotional meridians come out of the face, and a lot of the physical meridians come out of the arms, and the thinking in the legs.
When you say meridians, is that what term?
So meridians, it's basically talking about like energy lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the way I personally understand it is basically, I think as we grow, our body is basically growing in like 16 different channels and altogether. Like there's a spectrum of the human body, and you could basically rip it apart into like 16 spaghetti strands, that go together to make the body.
Yeah.
And as each thing grows out, it'll form certain organs in a certain part of the body and everything, and so there's a connection there. And so like certain part of your hamstrings connect to a certain part of your brain, which affects a certain part of your psychology.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I mean, only to like note on this, like when I stretch, especially for longer periods of time, I'll notice when I do hamstring stretches, it's almost like it affects my temples or something. Like I feel it in different areas.
Yeah.
Like and not just because I'm like bending down and like the blood is rushing to my head, but yeah, there's different things that connect.
Right.
I mean,
like-
more
there's
than
like
I guess
some-
I think of. Like, it's like, oh, I feel it, but I'm not going to explore it.
And there's like definitely some tension that you need to release, and like once you release that tension, it just feels amazing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right. Yeah, they talk about that. They'd say people get addicted to helping people like get rid of their tension because it's so like good for them and amazing.
Oh wow.
Huge release. I'm sure you see some people that like transform right there in the spot, huh?
Yeah, and it's been really enriching for my own life, learning what other people are really experiencing, and really experiencing that everyone's not experiencing the same thing. You can do a stretch really intensely. It's like literally they'll have 3 people stretching one of your muscles that you're resisting into, and you can do that because the fascia can be like 20 to a couple thousand times stronger than the muscle. It can be really strong. And so it can take a lot of force, and it can take a lot of force to kind of stretch it and lengthen it. And after one of the stretches, like a kidney stretch, for instance, I'd stand up and my voice would be different.
Wow.
Yeah.
And another stretch, I'd stand up and colors were different.
Yeah.
And so you start to realize that, so each person has a dominant meridian, basically, that they express first. Everyone goes through all of them, but we kind of do it in a different order, which is really interesting. But yeah, just really kind of understanding that people are just going through it different, and it helped me kind of relax on wanting people to understand things, in the big picture or whatever.
Yeah.
And it helped me realize that I could go more into my emotional world, because there's other people that go there first. Right?
Sure.
Apparently, I go spiritual thinking, then physical or emotional after that.
If I had to guess,
Which
mine
spiritual meaning big picture, basically.
Yeah.
spiritual. Yeah.
Wait, like off of your own observation, or is there like a test or something?
So the only real test is talking to like the founders
For sure,
and
yeah.
the people that know it the best,
Yeah.
because they know it in themselves and they can basically see what they feel in themselves in you
Sure.
and help figure that out.
Yeah.
But they are very pragmatic. It's not like you're this, it's very, let's figure this out, let's see where it's going.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to figure that out.
yeah, it's cool.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah.
I recently just got a deep tissue massage on my back and just realized how amazing and how like I just definitely want to take care of my body more. And after he was finished, it just felt like amazing because there was so much like the tension was just released from my back.
Oh, you
Yeah.
come out a new person sometimes
Yeah,
after a
dude.
massage, deep myofascial massage, man.
And
Gosh, dang.
he was explaining how like the hamstrings are like connected to your like back area and that affects your back and like you probably know.
Your legs go all the way up to your armpits.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Right?
Well, it kind of makes sense. Everything's connected,
Yeah.
right, in a channel. It's amazing because like even for prolonged periods of time, if I am stretching, I always feel like I can do like more. Like I could always go longer.
Yeah.
Like if I had more time, I'd go longer.
Yeah.
If something didn't come up, I would go stretch more.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that like 3 people are working on one muscle group. You're saying?
It's a lot.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Is that intense? Like to go through? Or is
You
it?
don't- It's really interesting. If they're on the right place, you don't even feel it. You don't really feel like you're doing anything. And it can be you can be exerting 1,000 pounds of force in your leg.
Whoa.
Dang.
They've used a meter and stretched someone's hamstring. So they basically have the person like strapped down to a board basically, and then the person's kicking their leg down. They're pulling it up, and they measured that, and there a few people pulling it, and it was over about 1,000 pounds.
Jeez.
Holy smokes, man.
And the person doesn't even feel like they're doing anything. Wow. And then they just feel completely different when they get up.
Well, I guess it makes sense because if you can, whatever exercise you're doing, a deadlift, for instance, if you can deadlift 1,000 pounds,
Yeah.
well, on the contrary, can you stretch it and have a force exerted on yourself 1,000 pounds equally? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the opposite way, the opposite direction. Sorry.
Yeah, oh, well, when you mentioned that, it's something that just came up to my mind where, that kind of like fight or flight response, where when that happens, you can lift more, which is like there's definitely more potential
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
That's happened to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when you.
Yeah.
I had 2,000 pounds of glass doors fall over on me. So all the weight wasn't on me; it was kind of pivoting on me. But 8 guys came over and tried to lift it, and I didn't budge. I was 19 at the time, and I just got enough adrenaline and pulled myself out from under there. So it's there's moms that lift cars.
Yeah.
There's hikers that have thrown giant boulders off of them that roll down on them. But it can rip your muscles off the bone, so it can be pretty damaging.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure adrenaline takes over, and then you're just like, I got out of there. But then after the fact, once it
Yeah.
settles in, you're like, whoa, I think I damaged some
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that happened, and I woke up. I felt fine, and until the next morning, I woke up and I did not feel fine.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
What symptoms did you feel?
a lot of pain.
A lot of pain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you were. Did they give you anything for that pain, or did you not take it, or did you like?
So I went to I got up. I went to the walk-in emergency room, and I talked to a doctor, and he said the best thing to do is go back to work.
Jesus.
I think he gave me an Advil or an ibuprofen or something.
Wow. Conventional. Hey, get back to work, son.
So apparently it's hard to get blood flow into those areas, those dense ligaments and everything. And the best way to heal them is to just get the blood flow in. So I'd go to work. I was doing construction at the time, and I'd go to work. In the first few hours, it'd be agony, and then after that, it'd be fine.
Interesting.
Yeah, but in my 20s, I started to become into debilitating pain. It crept up on me. I get worse and worse.
Yeah.
So I had to figure it out. I went to deep tissue like multiple times a month for a while.
Yeah.
Found a guy that was like 250 pounds that would push his elbow into me for an hour.
Just get up all in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't needed it since I started drinking off of the Kangen water though.
Mm.
Yeah, it really helps.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of helps break them down.
Yeah.
The work's still helpful, but I think you'll get more out of it if you were doing that.
Yeah.
Once someone's drinking that water.
It's crazy how the Kangen water too, it like translates over into different realms, like someone who's suffering from cancer. Because with you, it seems more of like a neurological, like a spinal thing, right? Like I'm not sure, like when something crushes you, what is affected? Like,
Oh, so many things.
I guess your muscles obviously that take it,
Nerves.
What
nerves.
I figured out in myself was the most of the pain was coming from my vertebrae, and my spine got shifted. And when that happens,
That does not sound good.
Yeah, they were, so your nervous system are like these cables that run from your brain out to your body, and they go through the bones. And if the bones shift, and they can pinch them, and then everything from where it's getting pinched onward hurts.
affected. Yeah.
Yeah, because the nerves are like freaking out. And so the water took away my pain in like 2 days, and that's because we think it's because it hydrated the discs of the spine and allowed that pressure to come off the nerves very quickly.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, like it's so hydrated that it's almost like buoyant in a way, right?
Yeah.
It gives it some space.
So most water, only 20% of it's getting into the cells or the tissues. This way, all of it's getting into the tissues, so it was really able to hydrate fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a trip, man.
Right?
Did you notice an effect when you first drank Kangen water? Like, did you feel anything? Maybe not initially, but like a day or two after.
Yeah, I felt the magnesium because I was mixing it with magnesium, and that felt really good. Just very calming. Very. I felt when I was drinking the Kangen water, it was very smooth too. Like way different tasting than actual water. It's like it feels smooth. Like to describe the feeling of drinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like to say, it's just water the way it's meant to be. It hasn't gotten old over time, and it's just hard to see. Like, you don't see water rot. You know, like you'd see food rot.
Right. Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point. I think. So Rich and I used to be roommates, by the way.
Yeah, we're housemates. Yeah.
We're still roommates, dude. But no, when I was drinking that water, man. Where was I going with that? I forgot.
I was talking about it tasting smooth, and Rich was talking about how.
Yeah. So you brought up that water, like, is usually stored in water bottles, like, over periods of time. Like, when you go to the store, it's not like they just bottled it, you know. Sometimes it sits there.
Yeah.
And so, is it oxygenated? Like, is it, does it have the
fresh.
full effects, right?
It needs to be fresh.
And that makes sense that, like, the Kangen machine would basically, I don't know the correct terms, but basically aliven it.
Yeah, that's great.
Bring it to life.
Yeah. Revive it,
bro.
Bring back that vibrance and that vitality.
Yeah, like a fresh stream, like something's running. Water's always moving. It seems like, unless it pools and sits, and that's when you kind of see, like, yuck.
Yeah.
You see ponds just nasty. They're just sitting.
Yeah.
It's not circulating.
And it's literally the molecules are just gathering into these huge clumps that we can't fit into our cells, and they just cause problems in the body. Wow. Same thing happens with old food. That's why it's better. That's why they say it's healthy to eat fresh blueberries for the antioxidants, and antioxidants are just. So oxidants are things, oxygen molecules or other molecules that stick to you for electrons, and that can cause things to stop functioning. So antioxidants are things that give them enough electrons to go away. Right? So antioxidants can be anything with voltage, and Kangen water is the strongest antioxidant known to man.
Wow. So can you, because I still want to try and understand this, can you explain the difference between acidic and basic?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I thought about that so many times growing up. I always loved chemistry and science.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my 20s where I realized how simple it is. So the pH is just the electrical potential of hydrogen. And we look at hydrogen because it's the smallest molecule. So being the smallest molecule, it's going to be the first one to leave a substance when it gets enough electrons to leave and become a gas. Right? So emerging hydrogen is a sign of the voltage, whatever the electrical potential is of the solution.
Yeah.
And it gets it gets confused because it's measured... It's basically measured wrong, usually. It's usually measured with a chemical test that reacts to certain things in the water versus actually measuring the electrical potential that's there.
So what kind of tests are those? Are those like pH, like the pH balance test? And
so there's chemical tests, the little strips of paper or the water drops, and those are reacting with minerals in the water, basically. Right, and so these minerals can be hanging out in between giant oxidized, acidic water molecules, and these alkaline minerals can go and react with the chemical and say it's alkaline, where the water itself is actually hugely electrically deficient and acidic. So
that's why, like, when you test what's the brand of alkaline water? Essentia. So when you test that with the piece of paper, it's reacting to the minerals.
It's reacting to the sodium bicarbonate that they put in that water. And do you know what sodium bicarbonate is? It's baking soda.
Yeah.
So and it's not only in baking soda. It is a good salt and everything, and it can be great. But it can be oxidized to the point of being toxic, not bioavailable anymore, and just causing problems. And so even if Essentia was just pure ionized water in its ideal form, after 3 days, it's no longer going to be. After 3 or 4 days in a plastic bottle, it's going to be oxidized water again, right? So it's just not a regulated market. They can say whatever they want, basically.
Right, because it can start out as, basically.
Yeah, like there's just really good glass spring valley or mountain valley, and that actually starts out at like negative 100 millivolts, which is an alkaline. The negative entails the presence of extra electrons, which is what's needed for like a living body. But by the time we get it, it's positive 300. You know.
So at the source, it might be effective, right?
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, when running water and stuff, it's like active. It's
active.
it's yeah.
It's alive.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
alive.
I got a question for you. I don't know if you've ever been asked this. So, well, let's just say Kangen obviously is top tier.
Cool.
Would you recommend, like, say someone just, they can't find it at the liquor store. They're in the middle of the Mojave. They're like, all right, dude, what's the next best source?
Yeah. So there's certain ways to do that. So I like to just put magnesium in the water. right?
Magnesium. Okay.
So having good minerals in there will help.
It's Kangen water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll help you kind of help your body deal with the acidity and everything and go on. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, yeah, blue, man.
Cheers, Andre.
Cheers.
Ah, Kangen.
And so Kangen, you know, for people that don't know, it's just an ionizer. You run water through it. So it's not a source of water. You put your water source through it. And it makes the water source that you have more ideal. You know, it makes it so your body can utilize it all, and it's not going to cause calcification. Because if 20% of it, if the water is getting to your cells, the rest of it is going to be causing problems. Your body's going to have to pull calcium out of your bones to buffer it and get it out, because with extra electrons from the bones. And a lot of that sticks around in the body and gets stuck in the tissues. And that's basically the root cause of all disease. Wow. Yeah.
Have you guys seen the post? I think it was today. Oh, you posted it too, where people on roller coasters can't scream.
Isn't that crazy?
Dude, that's fucking crazy, bro.
A new California law. Was it just in a certain area?
I think it said just California in general. Yeah.
What do you mean?
So they're reopening the theme parks, but you're not allowed to scream on the roller coaster.
Dude, that seems like really hard to do, you know, in the first place.
I'm just joking. If, like if you scream, you get kicked out.
I think that's the case.
That's
Yeah,
the case?
I'm
How do they
like-
know
I think
which
you might.
one?
I think you might get fined. So it might just be a business, you know, racket.
Yeah.
Make money. Because I'm sure everyone's going to scream, right?
Yeah. What the
I
heck?
bet they're even making it go faster than normal.
I feel like that takes away from the theme park. You show up and you're like, that ride looks sick.
It's
Oh,
a
no
weird-
one's screaming.
Fuck. Do you
It's a
think
weird
like you
time.
look up at it? Fuck. I'm definitely gonna scream on that one. Fuck.
Yeah, and just no everyone goes and no one goes on a ride. You know, they just walk around.
It's probably a brutal kick out too, like handcuffs, everything. You're like, no, man.
Eat some
this
fucking
sucks."
funnel
Crazy.
cake. That's what I go to the fucking theme park to get.
Crazy.
Just an observer.
I wonder if going on a roller coaster stimulates your immune system. I could see that. You know, gets you moving, gets you going, kind of like exercise would.
Yeah, it does. Exercise would.
Yeah, exercise. Yeah, exercise helps.
Oh,
your immune
I'll
system.
like exercise. I thought you.
like exercise would. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like an exercise that you use wood for.
Oh, I know. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, where are we going with this? Yeah.
My
no, totally.
pronunciation.
Well, I feel like you're fight or flight when it comes to roller coasters, right? So, I mean, in the same sense, I guess you're not really tuned into it when you're exercising. Like, you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to die, you know, or like, oh my gosh, my senses are really heightened, but they
Yeah.
are. You
There
know,
is a
you are going
scary-
through something.
Yeah, the stress is not going to be
Yeah.
a beneficial thing.
However, if you're like squatting like a lot of weight or deadlifting a lot
yeah,
of weight,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
kind of like, wow, okay, this thing could potentially
Yeah.
really hurt me. So you are fight or flight, I guess. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the exercise.
And you know, the body does need some acidity. It needs some stress. You know,
Sure.
It needs both. It needs a balance. But you know, Kangen's important because we're just way too far on the acidic side. We're way too far on the stress side.
Can we get some honest thoughts on just that roller coaster non-screaming thing? What do you guys think of that?
I think
like,
it's crazy.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think people are just not aware enough, or they're just too scared to say what they really think, or lack of leadership amongst the people, or you know, our official leadership is a little bit more interested in their own profit, individual profit. You know,
Was the reason for doing that to prevent against the spread of germs, or
I think it's related to Corona.
what about everyone wears a mask on the roller coaster, but can they scream in the mask?
Well, it's yeah.
I think it's like
You
a
know?
form of like how much will people put up with until like they do something about it? Because this has been going on for a year.
Sure.
India opened back up, no
Yeah.
masks.
Yeah, Florida's been open.
Yeah.
Doctors
Yeah.
have been showing that the N95 masks don't do anything other than harm your immune system and make it worse. They vaporize your breath so that it actually spreads like 15 feet instead of just 6.
Yeah.
So when I go in stores and they're like, "Can you put a mask on?" I'm like, "Let's go outside and talk, but can you stand 20 feet away since you're wearing the mask? Unless you want to take it off, you can come a little closer." You know,
Yeah.
as an opening thing to kind of get a point across. But
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the virus. I think I know viruses are theoretical, and what's actually happening is there's not enough voltage in the cell and it's collapsing, and that can happen that can be a domino effect. It can spread from person to person. It can also be caused by EMFs.
What is it?
EMFs.
EMFs.
You know, so we live in an electromagnetic universe.
Field. Yeah. Okay.
So there's everything is EMFs. We live all the matter in the universe is electromagnetic, but there's non-native EMFs, and they affect us like waves hitting another wave and canceling it out. So it'll knock the electrons off of our oxygen, and you know, stop our it'll decrease our function.
Can you explain what's a non-native
EMF?
EMF, yeah.
So
where does that come from?
Basically electronics. So
interesting.
back to Tesla, right?
Yeah.
So Tesla was using natural electromagnetic frequencies to bring power. Edison is using non-natural frequencies.
So where is he getting those frequencies from?
It's just a choice of what frequency, you know, like what beat you want to use. It's kind of like music, and it communicates with 5G. They're using certain frequencies that are very high frequency, very loud, like it's like a scream instead of like a moan, like a low pitch. You know, a very fast wave versus a long slow wave. So it can't go as far, and they're trying to run thousands of devices off of one spectrum of noise. There's not really a reason for it. You can run electronics, in my understanding, I might be wrong, but you can run electronics off of any frequencies as long as the receiver and the transmitter are using the same one. They can communicate. They happen to be using ones that, from what I've heard, are very bad for us. They happen to be using ones that affect our health very negatively, and I think they're doing that because they also own other companies that benefit from that. So it's pretty impressive. You know, on a business scale of what they've done. I think it's really impressive.
Yeah.
But it's not righteous. It's not good for humanity, you know.
Yeah.
Who are these people that are planning everything? And just like, when I say planning, I mean using those technologies and for not the betterment of humanity.
So I like to say the system has no brain, right? And all they know is to make more profit. Right, so like when 5G came out, the White House did a summit that I watched, and they literally, the correspondent said, citizens, it is our responsibility to stimulate the economy. It is your responsibility to make sure we're doing something safe and smart. If we're not, you need to stop us, basically. And I felt like it was the individual speaking for the White House trying to tell the public, like, to stop it.
Oh, interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah, like it's a collective energy that's almost just out of hand. Like, not one person can stop it.
Right.
And it's just, you're a part of the roller coaster ride.
Yeah, and all it knows.
And you can't scream.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, so, you know, who knows? There's apparently the Egyptians even used masks at one point to help quell uprise and stuff, to remind people that they didn't have the ability to change anything on their own and stuff, and stop people from smiling at each other. It can go deep.
Dude,
you know?
like it conceals the emotion of people, and it's like, and I've read, what is it, I guess the New World Order, but there's another term for it. It's like
there's a few.
Yeah, there's a few.
What's it start with?
It's for the World Economic Forum. The dude Charles Schwab. I forgot what it's called.
The banker guy? Charles Schwab?
That's a banker, yeah. I'm not sure. I thought you were going more in the direction
Charles
of saying
Schwab.
the cabal or something.
The cabal, yeah.
I thought I was going there.
Me too.
Let's see, World Economic Forum.
So I don't think any evil is done on purpose. The Great Reset.
Yeah.
So I trust, you know, human nature is a good thing. I think what happens is individuals have a kid and they just worry about providing for their kid more than they worry about the community. I think that's what happens.
Prime examples of that too, like even Netflix series, man, watching Breaking Bad where he makes meth.
Right.
And he's not even like about it for the gang relations or the, you know, the money necessarily, but the money to supply his family. It's around his family.
Yeah.
So
Great example.
Yeah, if you could find yourself in that situation where you're like, how do I provide for my family? And you have an option to.
Yeah.
Right? No matter how scary or risky that option is, it's like, it's either that or fail.
I always have this thing with school too, where I feel like school just teaches you to, it's like a groupthink thing where, you know, you receive information, you relay that information, and you really don't teach you how to think for yourself. And I do think that's a huge problem, and I do think that needs to change in order for people to think for themselves.
Yeah. The best minds are self-educated.
Yeah.
Right, because you seek comprehension instead of just getting lectured and then having to regurgitate that,
right?
And not really having the time to find the comprehension.
Exactly.
Know?
Yeah.
You know, like Tesla was self-educated.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of greats too. I think Steve Jobs dropped out of college, or I don't even think he went to college, something like that.
Right. Yeah, all the greatest minds have been self-educated.
Yeah.
I was listening to Dr. Cowan today, and Dr. Cowan has a company that I love. It's Dr. Cowan's Garden, and he sells these little tubs in Myron glass with vegetable powders, all grown properly and everything. So most plants grown these days in big operations, they only have 10% of the minerals they're meant to have.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Cowan sells a powdered version that you can get that has all the minerals you're meant to get and all the good micronutrients and the greens. And I was listening to a podcast he was on today, and he was talking about, he has a book, and he was promoting his book, and it was The Contagion Myth, and it was, he's saying that there's, viruses do not cause disease, including coronavirus. They're not the cause. And he went on to explain how their theory, and he went on to say that, theory means also made up and not make believe, he really drove that home. But one of his closing points was that he does not like school.
Yeah.
He left. He says most medical doctors know a lot less than we think.
Yeah.
And that's one of the craziest things. One of the scariest things I've seen growing up is that doctors don't know as much as we think. Most
Like
doctors,
you said, that one doctor is like, just go back to work. It's like,
Yeah.
shit. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Wow, that was scary.
It's like connected. It's like connected to my laptop.
I mean, too, we like
RIP headphone users.
Yeah.
We like to.
Gonna come through. I don't think that's gonna come through. On the
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We had a phone go off.
Yeah, that was intense.
All right, what were we talking about?
We like to think
School.
by like the title or like the change of a textbook, right? That there's going to be so much more abundance and information that, oh my gosh, these doctors must be progressing with all these terms. And maybe they will, to a certain extent. But
Yeah.
it almost seems like you said, like you're copying what someone else wrote down in the
Right.
past. And as we know, we aren't always correct from things in the past. We go off these old, belief systems. We take it as our own.
Yeah.
But we're not really expressing what's organically coming from within. And I think, self-education is also like you just trust yourself. You trust the process of divine faith or whatever you want to call it, God. I mean, that is kind of what we tap into.
Begin within.
Yeah, begin within.
Right.
Kingdom of heaven is within.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beauty, strength, and wisdom.
Yep.
Amen.
Yep. And I don't know. Yeah, just I do see a lot of groupthink happening, and I mean, it is good when you're on teams and you want teamwork, but
Yeah.
when it's against the bad, wear a mask. Like, we want you to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Apparently, I saw a video. Apparently, there's Dr. Fauci, even a few years ago, was saying masks are useless and they don't help. It's quite funny.
Dang, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then it's like we were talking about earlier with social pressure, where if you don't wear masks, then people are gonna like go after you, and obviously the people that think for themselves, like they're secure in what they believe in, they know why they're not wearing a mask. But it is like that. There's an element of social pressure for not wearing a mask.
Oh, dude. I was
Yeah.
telling Rich, I was like, yeah, I basically adapt to the environment that I'm in. If people are
Yeah.
wearing all their masks, just put it on. But I'm not, a mask believer. Just put it on to wear the mask and make
Yeah.
everybody else happy. If someone is not so, they don't want to wear the mask, I'm cool with that too. It's more so
Yeah.
for their principles, I guess. Like, okay, let's just make
Yeah.
people happy.
Yeah.
Without being like a people pleaser, but
Yeah.
still, you still want to make people feel comfortable, I guess.
There was a
that
senator.
makes sense.
There was a senator grilling Fauci recently about it. He's saying, if these masks people are wearing are useless, isn't it just theater?
Essentially.
There is a mask that apparently helps with viral transmission, but it's the N99 mask, and most people don't wear that.
What is the
They mostly
N99?
wear
Is it like the
the
beak one?
cloth masks that it's not like there's no studies that
Yeah.
show that
Yeah.
it'll actually prevent.
Yeah, I mean, keeping it simple, it makes sense, if you're blocking that there's going to be less stuff spread and germs, but it also makes sense that you're keeping more germs inside you, you're harming your own immune system and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just drink Kangen water and get my nutrients, and there's no way I'll have a viral, response because my body will function.
I think that's an important aspect too, is just your belief too. Not to say that prevents you against getting a disease or anything
That
like
is a
that.
big piece of
but
it.
that's a big piece of it.
There's a doctor that's shown it scientifically, Dr. Bruce Lipton. He was one of the leading doctors on stem cell research, and he's proven that your thoughts create particles, and those particles become your cell receptors, and that becomes who you are. And so it takes time to change and become a better person because you're literally creating the receptors over time. So cool.
That's really cool.
He's a funny character, Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Does he make the teas? Lipton tea?
No, he doesn't. He does little podcasts though, and it's like you'd think he was targeting it towards children. He's really funny.
That's cool.
He's very playful. Yeah, he's a funny guy.
First time I've heard of Bruce Lipton.
Yeah, he's cool.
Dope.
Definitely check him out.
Dope.
Sweet, man.
And also, I would like, what's up with all this alien talk too?
Alien talk from who?
Like,
I can't believe the Pentagon came out and said UFOs are real. Like,
yeah,
I have so much
exactly.
dissonance
Oh my
around
God,
that. Like,
yeah.
I haven't even processed it. Like, as a kid, we just were laughed at, for thinking it's a possibility. It was just there was such
Like
Another
actual
sitcom,
governments,
another comic.
Actual governments coming out and saying that there are unidentified flying objects.
Yeah.
Like the guy from Israel, I think.
I was watching a video today actually, and it was showing that it was showing how since the 50s we've had technology, alien, extraterrestrial technology, and they also just leaked files that are no longer top secret or whatever. After a while, it is open to the public. They've been working on time modulation, basically time travel. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Didn't you post something not too long ago, Brandon, where there was an actual UFO sighting over the ocean by like hundreds of people? I think in Hawaii or Kauai or something like that.
It was in Hawaii. It was like a blue flying object over the ocean, and
Yeah.
that was like just seeing that it did not look natural at all.
No, it just like dropped straight down in the ocean and then took off from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Do you guys believe in UFOs, I guess?
Of course.
Yeah.
definitely.
Actually, more than believing in the UFOs, what do you think the
convinced.
actual extraterrestrial is? Like, do you think it actually looks like
Good
a green,
question, man.
big-headed
Yeah,
alien,
good
quote
question.
unquote? Or is it people? Is it time travelers like
Yeah.
from long ago? Curious.
What do you think?
Oh, good question. I'd like to think that it's actually, maybe people who have either transcended or passed. Something
Beautiful.
like that.
That's a part of it, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Transcendent
and maybe
meaning how like mindset,
non-physical.
non-physical.
They're right.
non-physically. Yeah.
And they might even, so I've heard that certain well, what do you think first?
What do I think?
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think they'd have definitely big heads to fit their definitely fit their brains. Those giant brains.
I've heard that
I think they have sex like telepathically too.
Oh, wow.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard so that we're the most powerful, and there's apparently like 12 or so variations of beings in this universe, and a lot of UFOs apparently are actually conscientious projections. So it's actually a light of a consciousness, and it might be a non-physical consciousness, the source, or it might be a physical being somewhere very far away that's projecting their consciousness here. So I think that's a part of it, and I think there's also different variations. There's been different government officials and recognized authorities and very well-trusted people coming out and saying this information and saying that there's 12 different types and they've seen them, and that sort of thing, and that it's basically they say that they have the same sort of layout as us. That there's 2 arms, there's 2 legs, there's a head. There's ones that are much bigger than us, much physically stronger than us. So apparently we have more what we would consider in our society paranormal powers. And apparently, if there are some of these beings are apparently not nice, and don't have the best intentions for humanity, and there's other races, let's call them, that protect us from them and protect Earth.
My thing is, if they're like these aliens that have this crazy technology and they were bad, why wouldn't they just wipe us out? Like, are they just like
Apparently they try
observing us and stuff, or?
So apparently there's Pleiadian aliens, and they're the ones protecting us.
Oh wow.
Yep.
It could be also that, maybe our weapons are enough to take whatever it is that's coming in.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. So there's certain ships and that we can actually stop with our own, just saying like F off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And so you've probably heard the stories of people getting frozen in the light, right? And then abducted.
Yeah.
So before that happens, you can apparently like banish them and it'll like stop their ship from working and stuff.
Mm.
Sounds cool. Sounds empowering.
I was reading the Emerald Tablets of Thoth too, and he mentions that there's a spaceship underneath the
Pyramid.
the Sphinx.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I heard that
so-
too. Oh, Graham Hancock, right? Or
uh,
I guess other studies from what Graham Hancock.
Apparently,
Yeah.
they were. I think Graham was talking about. There's this big disc, and it's like an atom thick, and it's like titanium or something, and it's down there, and if you put it on top of the pyramid, it lines up with the bottom corners, but it's a sphere that goes on top. Apparently,
Whoa.
it's really cool, and it's a mile underground,
Right.
and so I think they can somehow get it to come through the material, because most of our material is empty space, right?
Yeah.
so there's probably a way they can basically resonate at a different frequency and move through the matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Aside from protection or destroying, what other reasons could, aliens exist for? Like, why?
Oh, I heard a fun story recently. I think it was like a cartoon I watched or something, but I think it was a movie. You may barely remember it, but it was basically it's so funny because it explains the movement we see. Because there's cameras from satellites and they'll show these UFOs, unidentified objects, aerial phenomenon as they call them now, and they're moving around, they're changing direction, they're changing speed, right? It's not just a piece of rock. And so this was showing it was like a little kid, and it was on an alien planet, and it crawled out of the house and got into the spaceship and like pressed buttons and took off, and it was just like it brought it to Earth, and it was like darting around because it just couldn't drive.
Yeah.
And that explained why they it's just alien kids that took the car and are driving around.
Yeah. Unconventional movements. Just
yeah, that's why they're doing that. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons they come to Earth. It's just the kid took the car and didn't know what they were doing. you know?
No, I think
Yeah.
it's something as simple as that, man. Because I have heard also like there's certain missiles or certain weapons that also mimic the movements that UFOs do, which is kind of sporadic, and then all of a sudden it could just take off from one spot and just be gone, just travel, kind of like a missile.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that the speed matches what UFOs have been known to, like the video that I think you posted.
Yeah.
It's just so quick, and I've
Yeah.
seen things too. I mean, I'm not going to call it is an unidentified object, but what is it? I don't know. I've seen some things in the sky for sure. For sure.
We've shot them down. I've heard. With the American government, the German government, they've shot them down. Have you heard of Admiral Byrd?
No.
A very respected U.S. general, and he was given an army, and he took it down to Antarctica to explore. He was attacked by UFOs, he says, and people think that the UFOs were actually German UFOs.
Interesting.
Oh. Yeah, what if they are just people? Like,
Yeah.
No,
it's just such advanced technology that, the government wants to withhold for whatever reason, right? But now it's becoming more and more aware, like, okay, if you want to know the answer, here's the answer,
I think that's a part of it.
right?
Yeah.
I remember hearing about element 115, which is the element that Bob Lazar talks about, where he worked inside of the government programs
Yep.
and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that element 115, I actually, before the hearing about Bob Lazar's story, it was in World War II Call of Duty, which is kind of like
is it?
it's like pre-programming,
Uh-huh.
And that's crazy how that worked. I'm like, damn, I knew about this from Call of Duty. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an element that's not found on Earth that they took out of a spaceship, right? Out of a
yeah.
UFO.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like Paranormal Activity. It's like something you can't really see, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
can feel almost,
Yeah.
right? Like it's kind of the same sense. Like I'd like to think that there's, let's just say an animal, right? That nobody has ever discovered, but it's roaming on this planet somewhere.
There's a lot in the ocean.
And we like,
Oh, yeah.
and we like to think that unless we see it, then it is real, then
Right.
it is live, then it's an actual thing. It's manifested itself into real life. But what if there is something that we just truly can't see? And
There-
it's just it's out there.
There was a Christmas movie some people might remember, and one of the scenes was, have you ever seen $1 million all in one place? No, but you know it exists, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good
Well,
example,
like
yeah.
I always
It stuck with me.
I had this thought where I think we were talking about Nikola Tesla and how he was just a vessel that was able to find that technology. It was already there. It already existed. It just he was the vessel that brought it to this
Modern times.
dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have even been here,
Before.
in earlier times.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. Floyd Mayweather. That's the only thing I remembered. I've seen $1 million laid out, but through a picture, not
Okay.
actually. Yeah,
Fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to that too,
Yeah.
it's like we are kind of all the vessels with just knowledge that almost. Do you guys ever feel like you're saying something and it seems so eloquently expressed, and you're like, wow, that seems
Came
right,
out-
feels
yeah,
good.
came out nice,
But
yeah.
even you yourself, you're like, wow, I'm just the vessel that's just giving it out. I'm not, I'm not attached to it. It's not even me.
God damn
wow,
it, bro.
it's another phone call.
That's we're talking about signs, right?
Yeah,
We're talking about signs and like messages coming through. Maybe that's one of them.
That was one of them.
Yeah.
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 Who's the caller on that one? Was
That's-
that no
that's my
caller
mom.
ID? Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's like,
Sweet.
where you at?
Oh, I see a
Sweet.
You see the synchronicity there with Tesla?
Tesla? Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
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 The moms are tapped in.
23.
23? 23 and me?
And me, yeah. The DNA test.
So you guys, there was a movie 23, and it was like everything breaks down to 23, and it was just an extreme example of synchronicity.
Michael fucking Jordan was onto something, huh? Get in there, Branden.
I'm like, we're doing a podcast.
Yeah. Love your mom. I love it. Love your parents, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Love them. Give them a big hug. Where could we go off of that?
So many places.
Man.
I'd love to talk more about there's lots of people telling stories on interviews that claim like they've been working in DUMBs, deep underground military bases, dissecting alien parts.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I heard basically there's 12 different types, and this one guy said, he seemed to be quite truthful to my own discernment, talking about the ones he'd worked on and stuff. It was really cool to see that.
It makes, I mean, like, I guess the only one I'm really familiar with is Bob Lazar, who's come out and, talked about some of the experiments. And it seems like he's almost on the surface level too with it. He's like, I don't know what these, foreign objects are. What are these alien inventions, or how did they come here? Why? But it seems like more and more people are coming out about that, like out of the woodworks. And it's funny that there are actual bases too. Ooh, yeah. There's actual bases where it's like undisclosed information, where they just continue to, what is this thing, without really leaking it to anybody, or who is getting the information? I guess that's also the question. Is the president getting the information? Is that even a person who we should think about as having a higher power? Or is there somebody who's underground who has all this information?
The shadow government.
Shadow government. Exactly. Almost a different branch.
What'd you pull?
Oh, just like this first card.
The Fool.
Fool.
The right way up.
Yeah.
And the Fools can be a good thing,
Yeah,
it's
no, definitely.
the power of ignorance and bliss and everything. Because
assumptions. To know that you don't know.
Yeah, like, you can know a lot, but you could be wrong, and like assumptions are the root of all evil. Thinking you're right when you're not, and there's a saying I like around Fool. So there's a card. This is a tarot card. These are ancient cards with drawings on them that you can draw meaning from, and they've it's a way to kind of draw out these sort of paranormal things that we're talking about. You can sort of think about something, think about a person, and sort of talk to them through the random drawing of the card. But I like to say there's two ways to be a fool: to believe something that you know is not true, or to choose not to believe something that you know is true.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's happening a lot. Even with myself, like hearing all this stuff about aliens, I'm still like, is it real? Is it not real?
Same. Yeah. No. Me too.
Yeah.
However, I mean, if like you go into like your own intuition, like yes or no, I guess. Can we give that around the room?
Yes.
And true intuition about whether or not you believe in UFOs, like whether they're real. Doesn't have to be like the actual description. Are they the green creatures? Are they big-headed? Do you just believe that UFOs are real?
Yeah.
Belief in the unknown.
And we'll start with you, Rich. We'll go around the circle.
I do. I think a belief is a table with 4 legs, and a conviction is one with many more legs. It's more solid.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And I've seen a lot of stuff, and I'd say I have a conviction that they exist.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. What was the question? Is like belief in aliens, or just belief in general, or just belief?
Do you believe in aliens, UFOs? Like, do they exist? Not subject to their actual physical attributes or anything like that. Just, do you believe in aliens, UFOs?
Do I believe in UFOs?
Do you believe they're real?
I've seen like videos and evidence of UFOs, so I do think that's legit, like reality. So I do believe in aliens and UFOs. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Jess?
Blue blue.
Hell yeah. To think that like we're the only thing in the entire universe is kind of cocky, So
yeah.
I'd say yeah.
He says yes. Sorry, one more time. That we're not the only things in the universe.
That like we're the only thing.
It's just
in the
ego,
entire
right?
Universe is just
Right.
Like, yeah, it's very egotistical.
A lot of space out there.
Cocky, and, like, we're so insignificant that I think
Yeah.
there'd have to be like some other type of life form out there.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a yes for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, for real. I mean, if you were just, out in the desert and something were to come about, it's like when you see something like that and it would like throw you off right at first, like, what is that? But if you really believe it, it's almost like you have to expect it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, like belief is very like super powerful.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's there. Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Without even really being sidetracked. Like, yeah, well, I believed it, so why don't I not expect it to be there?
I think just believing in it, just one person with the observer effect, we know that can have a difference.
Mm-hmm.
With the 100th monkey, we know that can compile right? And so if enough people think it's real, I think it could pretty much appear.
I
Right.
too, actually. Yeah, I really do.
Interesting. Yeah.
I've actually thought about that. Like, if there was it's kind of like New Year's Eve or something like that when the ball drops and everyone's kind of tuned in to one channel or one type of, thing going on. But if we were to actually consciously get together and say on this very moment, and this very day, I guess it's hard to do when you're across the globe, but you get what I'm saying, where everyone could be tapped in at a certain time, certain, moment.
Yeah.
I guess time is really irrelevant here because you could do
Apparently.
it no matter if it's night or
Kind
day.
of like a stadium where a bunch of people are there and you
Exactly.
can feel the energy
Yeah.
and there's so much energy focused on the event that's happening. Yeah.
A conscious
and
shift.
apparently that's why the stadiums were built.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. So what if the whole world tuned into something and we just put it out there like, hey, we want to see aliens today? And we really believed. I mean, I guess it would have to be a majority belief or something.
Who is that? What's his name?
David Icke?
No, Dr. Michael something. He came out with two movies, two documentaries called Unknown or Undisclosed or something.
Yeah, undisclosed. Oh,
He has a program to do this, and you can go with a group of people and you can play his tones. It's
Yes.
What's it called? There's a name for it, and you can just play this sound and you sit with a group of people and you will see aliens, he says it. And it's apparently 100% successful if you get far enough from a city or something where there's a collective with a doubt or with an energy that they don't want to present themselves to, that makes them uncomfortable.
sure. I heard they set up around like hot spots where UFOs have been spotted.
yeah.
Like, I guess certain minerals that they, assume that the aliens are going to these
Yeah.
hot spots, like sulfur springs, I guess, are a big one. Sulfur springs, hot springs, where they see UFO sightings a lot.
Oh, wow.
So I'm curious the connection, if there's any, between like ghosts and UFOs.
Right.
And like, what if some UFOs are
What-
like a form of paranormal thing that, like a ghost?
Like, what's a ghost? Is it a ghost is like an entity, or is it a
So a lot of people,
field of energy? Is it a
there's these cameras called structured light cameras, and they can show beings that you can't see, and it's really interesting. There's a guy, Michael Talbot. He wrote a book called Holographic Universe, and the hologram theory is now the dominant theory. It's kicked out the atomic theory, and so on. And Michael Talbot grew up experiencing paranormal activity in his home, and he thought it was normal. They would go out of the living room and they'd hear a loud bang, and the vacuum cleaner would have smashed across the room, and they thought it was normal. Things would happen, but he said it was very playful, and he was a kid, and it acted like a kid. And he said as he grew up into his 20s, if he was very anxious about something, it started to display anxious behavior. And he basically discovered that it was basically a spin-off of his energy that he wasn't accounting for, that he wasn't being responsible for. It was sensations he was having that he was ignoring and that were spinning off out of control.
interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were talking about belief and how belief, like, he can believe that he's seeing like ghosts and that could be his reality, but to other people, I feel like that we wouldn't see that because we're not him.
Yeah, I think
Unless like
people
we
did
saw it
see
for
it.
ourselves. Oh,
Other people
did see
saw
it.
it.
Oh, okay.
And that's when he learned it wasn't normal, because his
Okay.
friends were freaked out and they said they've never seen anything
Okay, I
like
thought
that.
he was by himself.
And he said that was hard for him, learning that wasn't normal. And he wasn't very scared of it or anything, but that's sort of opened my eyes up to really understanding ghosts a little more. And when ghost hunters go into a building and they try to incite something, they can get a response. And
Right.
yeah, there's some interesting
Or like-
technology that they use now with it.
Or like this, when you go into a room and say like somebody died there, or and like you go in there and you could feel like that presence.
Yeah, the presence.
Yeah.
Does that depend on the time of day too? Because obviously, like nighttime, it seems like paranormal activity is the most rampant. Like
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
All
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
devil's
yeah.
hour, quote unquote, right? But what is that about too? Like, why
I
be in secrecy? Why move in secrecy if you?
So, if it is like Michael Talbot says, if it is just emotions showing up outside of the body, basically, everyone's asleep, right? So they're not dominating the environment with their awake, living body energies, and so the ones that are left over from people that have passed kind of start just being displayed more. If you're sleeping, they're
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
that's the way I see it.
Wow. Yeah.
And you can get devices. So there's a device called a Somavedic. I have one at home, And you remember the Somavedic we had at our place?
Yeah, I do.
So it puts out a really good natural electromagnetic field for about 160 feet, and it feels great. And that helps sort of mitigate the effects of Wi-Fi and that sort of thing, decreasing the function of your body, so your function is better. And there's different forms of that, but I'm forgetting where.
Oh no. Well,
Where did we come from on that?
Talking about ghosts. We're talking about. Yeah.
So there's different testimonials with this, but people that have been experiencing haunting and paranormal activity say that it stops when they get this device.
Huh.
So that's one thing. You know, if you're hearing this and you're thinking, I have that, how do I get rid of it? And you're thinking you're hearing me say it's just your emotions and you need to calm down. There's other ways you can buy a little device and it'll stop it, apparently.
that device does make the home feel warm. Well, you also the red lights. The red lights have been known if you stand close enough to it, right? That it improves circulation among other things. Correct?
Yeah.
So maybe that was also a part of the warm feel. But that device being in the home was almost kind of like you felt it in the brain in a way. Like it was like, oh, there's something there. I can't name it. I can't point to
It's
it.
not that noticeable, right? But
Yeah.
we'd have different people unplug it. And when you unplug it, you can feel that resonance kind of drop out of the environment.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
It brings a vibe to it. Like
Everybody,
a buzz.
everybody I had do that said they felt it, which I was surprised by that because I give people Kangen. A lot of people say they don't feel it.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel it once they stop drinking it. So they drink it for a week and then they go back and they're like, oh wow. You know, they notice it more when they stop it versus when they first have it. That's why I give people that magnesium, so that they know that they can heal. They feel something that happens right away. Minerals we can feel right away.
Right.
So that kind of, if someone's over and they're suffering and I want to help them out, you know, I give them some of that and they're like, it helps them realize that they can get better, you know.
Amen. Yeah.
Is there? So I have a question for both of you guys. For this year, is there something that you guys really want to either do or travel to or accomplish or?
Traveling would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just
Traveling's up there.
I don't want to stick a thing all the way in the back of my skull though. Apparently there's ways to get the COVID test without doing that.
The anal one?
No, not unless you're going to China.
Oh, I got the blood prick one or whatever.
did?
That's the instant one, I guess.
Okay,
That
I
was
think
at my
that's the way to
dentist
do it.
office. They're
Cool.
like, here. And I was like, okay, 10 minutes. They're like, yeah, you're negative. We're like,
Cool.
That's it.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Was it you that was saying that the oh no, it was a post on Instagram where in Egypt they used to use like swabs to like go deep inside your brain and that breaks some sort of
Ooh.
tissue in your brain and I guess it was used for serfs or slaves and stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'd have to like look into that, but
Unveil the third eye.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't remember it fully, but yeah, it basically like takes out some of your potential.
yeah.
Whoa.
Breaks part of your hardwire, you know, part of your hardware. It makes sense.
It does make sense.
There's apparently a substance on it that's very damaging to the body on these swabs, and it's apparently it's not intended for what it's being used for. It's intended for something else, and it doesn't make sense to be using it the way it's being used, the PCT test. Yeah.
It's definitely not pleasant.
The Nigerian president, you see that?
Oh,
Did he ban it?
The Nigerian president tested the test on an orange and a goat, and it tested positive. And then he showed up dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Anyway.
Man, on tap.
And also it's like you hear the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, how he brought all these patients with COVID into all these nursing homes, and around like 10,000 to like 15,000 people died in these nursing homes. And it's interesting because I don't see not really anyone talking about it. And like that, like where's the cancel culture? You know, like how come Andrew Cuomo's not getting canceled for?
Right.
You know, and you hear about the previous president Trump, how he, I don't know, wants. They were so against him just for doing, like the Russia stuff. That was a hoax, the Steele dossier and stuff. And then go to Andrew Cuomo. They don't do anything about that. It's crazy.
Like certain people are just like written off, and then some are basically like, oh no, they're cool. You know,
Yeah.
Right. They're good. They're fine.
Yeah, it kind of bothers me when people are like, why don't they go after them as well? You know, because an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, right?
Yeah.
But they're trying to make a point. They don't actually want everyone to be prosecuted. They just want some sense to be brought to the judgment. They want it to make sense.
Right.
Mm.
Oh.
I mean, so if oh, go ahead.
No. This is gonna be
Yeah.
a different subject. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, you were just saying like aside from traveling, like that's one thing I want to do.
Yeah.
No, but going back to kind of the paranormal UFO stuff that connects in a different way. I was down by the ocean today, and there was like a new thought, something that I've never really thought of. I saw this guy walking up the mesa steps, and he had his spearfishing stuff on, like a full wetsuit
Cool.
and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked out into the ocean, and there's tons of seaweed and all that, and right there. It's like, man, that's actually something I really want to get into. Is like going underwater and exploring.
Ooh, like diving.
And that's like almost like
deep diving?
diving or just like swimming down there.
Yeah,
just,
man.
just swimming, spearfishing. I don't
do
know.
that in Florida. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's almost like an untapped energy itself, the ocean, man. And I feel like we like to think as UFOs, going back to the UFOs, as coming from like extraterrestrial planets. But how do we not know that they've originated from here and then gone to other places, and now they've come back or whatever?
I think you were talking about freaking octopi and stuff, and how they can shape like camouflage to their environment and shit, and like that's wild. And you're saying what is it, like cells? You were explaining the science behind octopi adapting to their environment.
Oh, okay, I might have been mentioning, like when we dream, we have cells that can create light and color.
Yeah, that was
Right. So they probably have the similar cells going on their skin instead of in their brain. Yeah, we actually can create light and stuff, and that's how we dream. That's the pineal gland. It's an eye inverted, and it's got substances in there that create light. It's really cool.
Is that also connected to like when people supposedly pass or they reach transcendental states where they see the light? Like these lights are released.
Right.
Something like that.
As well as when you're born.
As well as when you're born.
Yeah, I think it's maybe it's not related, but I think it's a large amount of adrenochrome being released.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, that comes from the gland that's connected to the pineal gland.
Gotcha.
That's where adrenaline comes from.
Ah.
Going back to the deep sea diving and stuff, I got in a rabbit hole of watching people dive and like panicking underwater.
Right, that's happened to me
Dude,
before.
that
Go down too
that
far.
makes me panic.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
watching those videos.
Because you can't just go right back up. You got to take
No.
your time.
You think
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
make it, man, and you don't, and it's just fucking horrifying.
Like you panic, and then like other people around you start panicking, and
No one,
it's like
for me, no one noticed, and that was the scariest thing.
Oh, dude.
I was out.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we were
scary,
we were on a
yeah.
vacation. I was a young teenager, and we had scuba diving, and I dived down to the bottom, and I looked up, and I was like, "Oh my!" I'm like 10 stories down.
Jeez.
Oh, that's insane.
I got like 5 stories up, and I was running out of air, and I was just like wriggling like desperately to the surface.
Jesus,
Dude,
It's like with like horrifying feelings. And,
that feeling alone, like when you almost
it's great.
drowned, is
It's great.
yeah, it is a release, but no, it's so scary, man.
you get to use up all your serotonin, and you feel great afterwards.
Yeah, true. Go to that pushing point.
Right.
Have you guys heard of Donald Cerrone, the UFC fighter?
Oh, I heard it. Yeah, his story.
You got it. Yeah, you guys, everyone listening, you guys got to at least tap into this guy's story about when he goes deep sea diving.
I
Because he
have
goes
not
into like
heard
these
about
little
this.
caves with
Cool.
this one other person who he was like, yeah, I trust him. Like he seems like he's been diving a lot. Well, his buddy freaked out, and in an effort to save him, he went into this cave to try to get him.
Lost
and
his line, I
Lost
think.
his line.
Yeah.
Lost where his whole sense of where he was, upside down. Am I
Probably
going the
pitch
right
black.
way? Pitch black. And he said that the only way he manages, he basically had to take a gamble of like, okay, this is going to be the right
Right.
way up. But he at least, I think his back hit the wall of the cave, and he's like, okay, if I just follow this one direction, hopefully
Yeah.
I'm going the right way.
Yeah, you can't tell which way's up.
No. And he luckily did. But he said he was running out of oxygen. He was panicking in that moment.
That's what it felt. That's what it felt like to me. You're going for the surface, but you're not sure if you're going the right direction, even,
Exactly.
let alone making it. You're like, am I heading directly up, or am I heading at an angle? Like,
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing, because it would prolong it.
Yeah.
Right? So scary.
Yeah. And then also watching those videos of people, like claustrophobia videos of them going inside these tight spaces
Oh, I
and
hate
tight
that.
caves and stuff.
I'm too big for that.
Dude, that gives me anxiety as well, dude.
Uh-huh.
You guys know the Santa Monica Mountains locally?
Yeah.
There's a cave that you can go into where it's they have those geocaches.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh.
it gets pretty intense.
Those,
Oh.
do
It
you know what
gets
those
pretty
are?
intense. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not going down there.
Geocache.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got really freaked out.
there's like ancient cities underneath most of our modern cities, and like people go down there and get lost in the catacombs in Paris, and it spreads out
the
beyond the
catacombs,
catacombs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching a video on YouTube of some guys that went down there. They had a guide, and their guide left them like hours into the catacombs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What do you think the purpose of that was? I mean, I guess we were living in a different world where there's different elements, maybe more storms, maybe crazier weather. I'm not sure. But why would you build underground? Majority of people.
Yeah.
I guess it's like the monkey thing. 100 people do it. Yeah, we're gonna do it over here too. But
Yeah.
to an extent, go ahead.
Yeah, I think some of the cities, like there's some in the United States where we built on top of like native cities. The natives actually had a lot of really amazing, well designed and developed cities.
Wow.
Better than most of our modern ones apparently. And so there's that, and I think there's just building on top of ruins. But the catacombs in Paris are a little different. They really tuck into the ground, and they stored their bones and stuff down there for some reason. I'm not well educated on the history there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's
As to why like you would build underground versus just
a lot of cities have like a flood system. So there's a lot of underground tunnels and stuff that people like to go down into for that reason.
I'm not sure if this is true, but I've recently heard that there's like underground cities in Antarctica as well because I
just had a realization. Sorry, a lot of them exist because they're mining for stone to build buildings with, and they gets created because of that.
That's a good point.
Interesting.
Okay. That makes sense.
So Antarctica.
Yeah, like I heard recently someone was telling me that, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's cities underground in Antarctica because there's this map, Perry Reed's map, I think that's what it is. It showed that Antarctica wasn't even frozen. It was actual land.
Whoa.
And that's interesting too. I mean,
Or what's the theory?
There's pyramids in Antarctica. There's openings in mountains where UFOs come out and stuff.
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's I just recently saw this thing, and it was these guys. They were stationed at a military base there, and they were told to they were basically on a mission to do something, and they got approached by these like glowing green beings and stuff. And they went down into this cave, and all the walls were glowing green. And talk about it.
Damn.
Yeah, it's cool. Like it sounds entertaining and funny and like not believable when you hear like one of these stories, but by the time you've heard like thousands of them,
Yeah.
and you've heard more stories like that than normal stories,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of science behind it and everything.
If you guys were given the chance to go explore, I guess underwater or underground, to like miles and miles down, to basically untouched parts, would you guys do it? Knowing, I guess not knowing that you could come back or not. Like you just had access to it. Like, hey, we have this vessel, we have this ship that can go down underwater. You guys can control it, just like a video game.
Sounds great.
Very
to me,
simple.
honestly, I'm pretty adventurous. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know the outcome. We don't know if this,
That's
It
life,
sounds
baby.
awesome.
Yeah,
oh,
that
that
is,
is
huh?
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that'd be intense.
But yeah, I'd have to pass on that just because there's the higher possibility of it not, going
well.
according to plan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure it's happened many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've tried.
Sure. I've heard that like 5% of what's underneath the ocean has been explored.
Right.
5%.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm sure if we had, if Tesla's technology was given to the public and to the people as it should have been, and we'd have free energy, and it wouldn't take profit-driven, things to make things happen. It wouldn't have to be an economical thing because we have free energy. So we probably would be exploring all that stuff and, doing a lot of cool stuff.
How much different would our world be without currency, or at least as much value as we put on currency? Some people,
Have you,
right?
Have you heard of the place? There's a city in India where they're doing that.
Like
No
changing
currency?
up, no currency.
No currency.
What are they doing? Exchanging like labor services and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
Like barter.
yeah.
Bartering?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have different ways. People have different roles and so on, but it's a whole society without currency. And apparently it's great.
I dig it.
Sounds cool.
I dig it too.
Yeah.
Like if you were to tell me like I'll give you $100 or I'll give you a 2-hour massage, deep tissue, like I would probably take the massage at some point. So I'd be
Heck
like,
yeah.
I don't need the money today. Like just
Yeah.
give me the massage.
Yeah, I could see issues with it as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Like what's just one that comes to mind? Like
It's kind of like a big thing. It's like just you have to do you can't plan as far ahead. You have to do everything kind of in the moment.
On the spot. Yeah.
You can't sort of gather resources over time. I mean, I guess you could. You could have people that owe you favors and stuff.
Well, and then what
But I
people
see
think
that.
is fair too.
I think there's not that idea of private property, and there's not that idea of like owing each other. I think they just help each other whenever they need help.
oh, that's yeah.
I think they just, it's just free.
And what's the food situation? Like, do they just hunt and then they collect and they kind of provide for everybody? Or
I'm not sure.
yeah,
It looked pretty well designed and laid out, so they probably have like
some
areas
type
of
of
yeah.
Going back to hunting, you went hunting, right?
Yeah. For the first time, up at the ranch, yeah.
Boar.
What did
We
you
didn't
catch?
get any. We didn't get anything. Dude,
No?
we got some. We did find some boar one morning. You go out in sunset and they hear the ATV and they go running.
Yeah.
And we pulled the rifle out and these boar, and these boar cause a lot of problems, and they're like a nuisance. And there's
Was it the black boar? Yeah.
Yeah, with the big tucks.
Yeah.
They're mean looking.
Wow.
And they will kill you if you're out there alone without
my God.
they'll mess you up.
Yeah.
So they're fast, man. They took off across this valley and up over this ridge like so fast, and the guys we were with were like, "Here, who wants to take the shot?" And I was like, "I'll take it. Let's go." But
What kind of rifle?
I was a sniper rifle.
Sniper? Oh,
Wow.
shit. What caliber?
It was a large sort of weight, low velocity that they had in there, the bullet.
Okay.
But I believe it was a 22, like large, like a 22 Magnum.
Oh, okay.
A variation of the 22.
Okay.
But it had a lot of drop, which he explained to me after. He's like, you probably wouldn't have even be able to
What
get a
was
shot.
the distance? How far was it?
It was far. It was
Oh, shit.
a couple 100 yards.
Oh, shit.
But
yeah.
by the time we got set up and they were making it over this ridge, so I grabbed the rifle, and I looked through the scope, and I can't find him in the scope. And as soon as I do, they're like over the ridge, or they're close enough to the ridge where we can't
Damn.
take the shot because the round might go over the hill.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a bummer. I was like, oh, I should have just let them take the shot.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, didn't even take a shot.
No.
You know.
Definitely plan on like just going hunting, probably getting like a deer or like a boar or something.
It was great. Like,
Yeah.
they have about 2,000 acres there, and there's a home there, and you get out in the morning when the sun's rising, and you take the ATV around with the guys, and it's a really fun way to start the day. Whether you do find something or not, it's a good thing to get you out there. We parked up and we walked for a couple of ridges and stuff, and I felt great after. Good exercise.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just staying all day out in nature too.
Yeah, it's
you're
fun.
just roaming.
Yeah.
What would you go after? Deer? Like
Yeah,
if you had
deer,
a choice?
like deer, boar, something small to start off with, and probably like move on
Okay.
to elk and stuff. Elk.
Yeah. Wait, side note here.
Yeah.
I've heard it on the Joe Rogan podcast and elsewhere, but is it true? Maybe you guys don't know, but if a pig, like a domesticated pig,
Yeah, it turns
is
into a boar.
released into the wild, it turns into a boar.
Yeah.
Like it starts growing hair and tusks and shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What other animals would turn into crazy things like that?
I'm not sure.
Or maybe there's none. I don't know.
Yeah, I think everything will change over time.
Yeah.
Like we exist from people of a different race going into somewhere colder.
It's true.
Lizards,
Yeah.
they can regrow their arms and stuff and their tail, or their tails?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That's almost similar. Well, not exactly. Stem cells is kind of like that, but you can't like regrow an actual hand or something if you lost it. But
Did you hear Alex Jones talking about spider
Jones.
pigs?
I've heard it, but I didn't hear like what his story was.
genetically
behind
modifying them, crossbreeding them and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
heard
so
about
they literally they crossed these pigs' DNA with spider DNA, and now they have spider pigs that are creating Teflon webs that is being used in armor,
What?
and it's better than anything ever.
Yeah.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That's really unbelievable. Yeah.
I wonder, do you guys think that will, I don't know if this is like, I'm just throwing stuff out there. Do you think that will mess up the, I guess, nature and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very unwise. I think we shouldn't mess with nature.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest agenda in the world is to rewild the wild.
Yeah.
I think that's the way we need to go. Like you're saying, what I want to do this year, I want to help rewild the wild. I want to help get more people on the right water so that they're not behind a veil of pain and suffering that they think is normal. I think that's one of the things holding humanity back.
Mm-hmm. And finding solutions that are probably not like beneficial solutions for what they're doing. Money, more, greed, all those
Advil.
things. Yeah, Advil pills, right? Mask the pain rather than actually go through the pain and try to work it out. Something.
Yeah. All right, guys.
So-
I think we're out of time, guys, for the memory on the card.
Yeah,
so
it's all good. It's all good.
thank you guys.
Good talking to you, man.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
That
Yeah,
was
love
was
you
fun.
too.
Yeah,
Love you
it's-
guys too, man. That was great. Good
Still.
seeing you, Rich. Good seeing you, Branden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta do another one
Catch up soon.
Oh yeah.
very soon.
Very
If,
soon.
I want to say real quick, if there's
Yeah.
anyone that wants to hunt or go hunting, that the ranch they do that. There's a nonprofit called Octa, and for every time hunt they take it on, they're bringing out kids to experience that and get kids out who haven't been out before, and help them get some life experience. So it's a nonprofit that's started up out there.
Sick.
Octa Hunting Company.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I mean, Are there
Just a
guides?
shout out for them.
Are there guides or anything that like take you out?
Yeah. It's founded by this guy Ty. He's a great dude.
Awesome.
And they'll take you out. Just Octa Hunting Company.
How do you spell that? OCT.
It's OKTA.
Okay, TA. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome, guys.
Heck yeah, man. Super fun.
Peace and love, y'all.
Yeah.